C. Let's get you updated on the current standings. Russia perfect with yet another win, this time over Egypt. They're the only undefeated team of the 16 in the tournament in the preliminary round. The United States, following their loss last night here in Chicago, is now at 4 wins against 3 losses. In Finland now at 2-5. And Egypt pulling up the rear. They are out of the running. Hi again, everybody, and welcome. I'm Paul Sunderland, joined once again by two-time Olympian Kevin Barnett. And, well, if you were a Finnish volleyball fan, you made some history last night. The Finns, winners over the United States for the first time since 1978. But for the United States, some real problems. They did not play well. What do they have to change from last night to avoid making history once again?
For me, it's all about attitude and tempo. The United States looked sluggish. They did not have a lot of energy on the court. They could not gain control of the match. They have to come out with a great attitude and dominate the match from the first point. Well,
and speaking of the first point, we spoke with head coach Alan Knipe now in his second season about getting his team ready to play for that first point, because in 7 matches so far in the World League, they've lost that opening set 5 of 7 times.
What I'd like to do is make sure that we come out ready to invest with the passion and the intensity and the full investment into the match from the opening bell, instead of almost the sparring effect we have with their opponent to see how hard we have to play. And it's just a slim margin. It's a few plays here or there, and that set one's different.
You heard him, all about transition. When you have an opportunity to score a point, you must do it. The United States was deficient in that in match number 1. We'll see how they do in match number 2.
As far as some of the individual matchups last night, Urpo Suvila from Finland was absolutely spectacular. What does the United States do to slow him down?
They just have to get in his way. They have to put up a good 3-man block, and when they have a 3-man block, close that line. Close line. Don't give him that shot. Make him hit the angle. Make him hit off the top of the block. They need to do that tonight and play some better defense behind that 3-man block.
The United States looking to close out their series of 4 matches against Finland with a win, but they are going to have to play much, much better as we look at the starting lineup. First for Finland, we talked about Suvila, and they have an outstanding lineup that did a lot of damage last night. M.A. Tervaportti, their young 20-year-old setter wearing number 2, was also very, very good. Matti Oivonen, one of the middle blockers, is another player to watch out for Finland. For the United States, a couple of changes, particularly on the outside. Matt Anderson, who did not play last night, will get the start wearing number 1. Lee will be in the middle, the leading blocker in the World League, along with Lamborn Pretty. Clay Stanley, who got off to a good start but couldn't follow that up. Kevin Hansen will be at the setting position, along with Russell Holmes. The United States again lost the opening set to Finland 25-22, came back to win the second, lost the third. The United States won the fourth. And there was the main weapon, Urpo Suvila, 28 of 49 in terms of kills. He had a total of 33 points. And Kevin Hansen out of Stanford University, and now a veteran of this national team. First serve and start things off. A good block by Reed Pretty on the outside. And on the pipe, hard into the block. First kill for number 1 out of Penn State University, 6'10", Matt Anderson.
The first thing you're going to notice is not only is this guy 6'10", he jumps out of the gym.
Hansen once again. Left side, Haitinen. Good blocking already by the United States. Very early, not a good set, and that ball thrown out of bounds. Poor set and a poor result for Finland.
Right away, the American block frustrating the Finnish hitters, not stuffing them, but definitely causing them to think more about their shots.
There is Mauro Brutto, more on him. The Italian in his 6th season as the head coach of Finland. Tight set, Pretty trying to save that and does so. And that ball blocked straight down. So first swing, first matchup for Urpo Suvila and the United States block, and the Americans come out on top.
This is a nice block. Everybody's in a good position. What I like even more is the reaction afterwards. The emotion. You see Reed Pretty there fired up, looking at the crowd, yelling at his teammates.
Tight pass. Pipe once again, and the timing not there for Anderson. What kind of adjustment is it for Kevin Hansen to have Anderson in the lineup?
It's just a faster ball, especially out of the back. Reed Pretty and Anderson, I think, are very similar. Sean Rooney hits a little bit slower ball, but everything to Anderson, even though he's 6'10", is fast, fast, fast.
So if Pretty and Anderson hit about the same rhythm of set, does that make Kevin's life easier?
Yes.
Right side, speaking of Pretty, ball on top of the net, and Russell Holmes getting his second start of his brief World League career. He was on the roster last year. Registers the kill.
I continue to like the way the U.S. deals with the ball when it's on top of the net. Whether it's an overpass or a ball popped up similar to that, I like that they're able to put the ball over the floor.
Reed Pretty last night, 13 total points, but for someone of Reed Pretty's caliber, as we were driving home from the match, it was kind of a forgettable performance. He is a world-class player in everybody's measure. Anderson again crushing cross court. Huvarnanen with his first dig. Lamborn returning the favor, but that's going to carry well out of bounds.
You mentioned Pretty. He did disappear for large portions of the match in the previous time, but we spent a lot of time beating up Sean Rooney, who played in the outside hitter position, for his transition kills. 8% he hit. Reed Pretty negative 33% in transition. That's a number that for him just should not be.
Well, you talked about it before the start of the match. Transition was an incredibly important statistic. Beautiful dig in the backcourt. Heittinen with the save. Huvarnanen cannot follow that up. You know, we talked to the Finnish coaching staff, and obviously they were very, very happy with what will go down as a historic victory because it had been so long since Finland had defeated the United States. But their head coach, Mauro Brutto, said, remember, Paul, we beat Brazil last year. We beat Poland 3 out of 4 matches 2 years ago. So for Finland, you know, are they a top team in the world? No, but at times they're capable. Was that a facial delivered to Holmes?
Oh, Holmes put that one right in his mouth. Get a good look at him there in the left back.
Oh,
right off the left side of his face.
Good thing he got his face turned, or he'd be heading for the plastic surgeon.
But he never touched his face. That's one thing American players will do. If you get hit in the face, don't touch your face. It didn't hurt.
And that ball missed out of bounds. Ball set a little bit too high, an unforced error. And the United States, after a crisp, kind of emphatic start. I know it's very, very early, but here we are 5-4.
Just an error. No big deal. 5-4. I really like the attitude I've seen from the Americans.
Jukka Lehtinen, 28-year-old, 6'5.5", captain for Finland, back to serve. If you're Finland, I think you have to weather the storm that the United States is hoping to bring. Stanley with the roll shot. Good reaction, and that's going to be 4 contacts.
If you're Finland, you hope that storm doesn't last for 3 sets and you get run right out of the building, which is many times the case when you have a lesser team defeat a superior team. The second evening, the superior team comes back angry.
Mauro Brutto, speaking of angry, and I think he's got an argument. I think the first touch was on the block. Let's take a very close look at this. There's the touch. That touch doesn't count. 2, 3. That's 2, and there you go. I can count to 3. I thought that was a legal play, and Finland has every reason to be upset at that call. That's great work in our truck. Thank you very much. Mauro Brutto, I mentioned in his 6th season, led Finland to the 4th place finish in the 2007 European Championships, and also the head coach from Macerata, one of the elite teams in the top division in the Italian league. Tight pass again, good cut back. That is patented David Lee out of the middle.
Kevin Hansen's gone to David Lee 3 times early. David Lee averaging less than 10 attempts per set coming in, or per match coming in to last night's match. Got 16 attempts, connected on 10 of them for kills. And I like that number. I like to see both middles get about that 16 attempt number.
Ace serve for Matt Anderson. The United States will get to the first technical timeout very quickly, thanks to that clean ace from the 6'10" outside hitter from West Seneca, New York. Early on in this best 3 out of 5 set match, the United States leads Finland 8-5. Back at the Sears Center, just outside Chicago, a suburb of Hoffman Estates to be specific. The United States and Finland underway. 4th and final match in Pool C. 4 teams in each group will run through the entire standings for you when we have a moment. Anderson once again coming out of the timeout. It led to an ace. And nice kill off the left side that time by Antti Siltala.
Siltala, the best outside hitter that Finland has on their roster. He's just quick. He's very much a Reed Pretty type player. Plays the all-around game. Serves tough. Hits well at the net.
Only 6'3". He's got to play quick to survive. Pretty good jump server. Quick to the outside, and Reed Pretty hammering that ball off the block of Finland.
Boy, beautiful pass by Reed Pretty. And we talked about Reed Pretty in transition, but if you look at him on a perfect pass, first ball side out, so receiving serve and trying to hit, on a perfect pass, he was 8 of 9. That is his game.
Lee handled very well, and Heittinen through the block and off the American defense. Great hustle by the captain, Reed Pretty. The United States doesn't win that point, but the energy level already at the beginning of this match is decidedly different than last night.
And the energy level rests on Reed Pretty and David Lee. These are the two most emotional guys out there. A little bit on Kevin Hansen. They have to bring it. It's plays like this that make that happen.
Volleyball back to serve now for Finland. Americans leading 9-7. Tight set. Offensive rebound taken by the Americans. Pretty off the block and out of bounds once again. Mentioned 4 teams in each group. The United States in with Egypt, Finland, and Russia. You play 2 matches on the road and 2 matches at home. At the end of the day, the top team advances into the finals.
Boy, another set of smart swings from Reed Pretty.
Tight for Hansen. And that's going to be a net violation called against Finland. And head coach Mauro Bruto is just beside himself. He's got to be careful. He's going to get a yellow card or maybe even a red.
I don't think he needs to make his team any more nervous than they are normally.
4-point lead for the United States. And Silvola unloading from the right side. Urpo Silvola, again, 33 points last night, plays for Monza in the Italian top division, and only 22 years of age.
And he is a young player with a live arm, and who knows if he'll start playing opposite more often. He's at that stage in his career where maybe he's not passing well to stay on the court all the time, but he has such a good arm, you want to get him on the court, so he plays some opposite.
Stanley ripping. Kovainen with his first dig of the match. Oh, good block that time by Heitinen. For a young player, Silvola is very impressive and also very smart. Smart roll shot to get Finland the offensive rebound. There is Alan Knipe, 41 years of age, in his second season as head coach for the United States men's national team, taking over for Hugh McCutcheon. Won a national championship in 2004, well as the head coach at Long Beach State, where he spent 9 seasons. For the United States, 13th appearance overall in the World League. For Finland, it's their 6th appearance. The 21st year for the tournament overall. Service error, the United States leading now 12-9. Speaking of young players, that's Ime Tervaportti, just 20 years of age. He was Rookie of the Year in the Finnish Professional League. And that ball served well long by Pretty. How do you rank him as a server?
On the team for the Americans, I would put him second. I think he should get relegated to third if Matt Anderson lets it go eventually here, or battle with him. But I'd put him second right now, right behind Clay Stanley.
Heitinen unloading. Good pass that time by Lamborn. Another dig by Lamborn. Tough chance for Anderson. High off the top. And that's not his specialty, hitting that high ball. And in transition, one of your keys from last night.
Not his specialty, but I want to see this out of Matt Anderson. This is a kind of player he can be. Look at that big, long approach. A set from the backcourt. The United States has been searching for a threat for an outside high ball for a long time. Matt Anderson can be that guy.
Right now, the United States in transition with their 7th kill and hitting .545. And that ball hit out of bounds. When we say in transition, we mean to conclude a rally. You transition from defense to offense.
Anytime you haven't received the serve, so anytime the ball's coming back your way, you have to come from the net in a blocking position and then hit. That's transition.
Russell Holmes, 27 years of age, out of Fountain Valley, California, 2008 graduate of Brigham Young University. Awkward looking pass and even a more awkward looking chuck to the outside. Now the United States 1 point away from the second technical timeout.
The Americans have been transitioning balls, doing a great job, and now they're going to have to take advantage of Finnish mistakes. You know, the Finns are prone to making mistakes 2 or 3 at a time.
We talked about the importance and the poor starts for the United States, having lost the opening set in 5 of 7 matches. Lost the opening sets in Russia, in Finland. Left side. outside, pretty tight set, but that's a nice job thumping that ball through the block by Antti Siltala.
Paul, you mentioned the attitude of the United States, the fact that they've lost the first set each time. No matter if they win or lose this set, I think it's a win for them because emotionally they have come to play and they have started to dictate tempo. And I like that. It's something we haven't seen. We've seen them trying to work their way into a match, whereas Alan Knight put it spar their way in the beginning of the match.
Lehtinen for Finland. Lamborn steps in front, and Clay Stanley slowed momentarily. Anderson, good chase by Lamborn. And that ball was headed out of bounds, but saved. Smart play that time by Siltala. So Siltala off to another very good start. He had 17 points in the 5-set win for Finland last night over the United States. 15-12. The Americans have led throughout. Led 8-5 at the first technical timeout. Stanley is stuffed on the outside by Siltala. Here comes Finland, 15-13.
That ball set just a little bit tight. Clay Stanley wants to be a little further off the net there, but another good move from the Finns. Look at Siltala, he's up high. You have to be up high if you're going to deal with Clay Stanley.
Ball carries way long, and with that, Jukka Lehtinen will head to the sideline, but Finland continues to weather the storm relatively well. The United States coming out focused and playing with a lot of energy in this opening set, led early, and they lead at the second technical timeout 16-13 in this set to 25 points. First 4 sets to 25 points. 5th set, if necessary, will be played to 15. We'll be back with more of the opening set from the Sears Center outside Chicago right after this. This is the 2010 World League. The United States and Finland closing out their 4-match series of the Intercontinental Round in Pool C. The United States currently at 4-3, Finland at 2-5. Russia is the only undefeated team so far in the tournament. They're a perfect 8-0. Clay Stanley coming out of the second technical timeout. Oh, great save by Huvarnen, but running out of real estate is Siltala chasing. A good block by the United States.
This is not good for Finland. Anytime they give up a point on Clay Stanley and give him another chance to serve, that's a bad situation.
Stanley unloading. Finland with a good save, and this is almost a very tough ball. That was almost right on top of the tape. Good hustle that time by Siltala, and hit his elbow along the sideline, and now the United States 18-13 lead. Mauro Brutto once again doing an outstanding job leading this Finnish national team effort. Also very busy in the Italian league. Look at Clay Stanley just unloading. That is a great bump set. And Anderson hits that ball out of bounds. So Finland will be very relieved to get Clay Stanley off the service line.
Love the swing from Anderson. Love the aggressiveness. I like that in a young guy, even though he missed.
Sivola now back to serve. Pretty passing exceptionally well so far. And Anderson rips that ball across court. To your point about how fast Anderson and Pretty can play together on the outside.
Yeah, watch the speed of this set. It comes out looking like a 3, which is that gap to David Lee. Just passes over him, gets right to Matt Anderson. He has a fast arm.
Anderson right now 3 of 8. He does have 2 errors, so his efficiency not particularly high. Does have an ace. He misses that one well long.
You mentioned his errors. He's a younger guy. In a match like this, the U.S. in control, I like him making a couple of more errors than normal. I think Alan Knight should give him a little bit of leash to take some aggressive swings and learn how to take those aggressive swings.
Siltala. Boy, that is a tough serve right on the sideline. Did that last night in Finland's 3-2 set win over the United States.
Talk about aggressiveness. Siltala from the service line is aggressive at all times.
That one catching the tape and making it even more difficult. Finland now trailing by 3. Pretty up into the block and out of bounds. Good high swing.
Early on in match number 1, Reed Pretty was aggressive and high, and then he started getting aggressive and low, and that's when Reed Pretty runs into trouble. When he keeps the ball up about another foot above, when he's trying to pass the net, is when he hits off the block, as he just did there.
Lee, Intercontinental rounds top blocker so far. Stammer, and gets that one down the line. Not the cleanest of contacts, but it'll go.
Stanley stretching this one, doesn't make clean contact, but still just the pure height from which he hits the ball allows that to come down without too much spin.
Varnen with a nice stab. He has been very impressive, the 22-year-old libero, Pasi here Varnen, currently leading the World League, at least during the Intercontinental round or the preliminary round, with 189 digs coming into the weekend. Varnen usually has his twin brother Mikko on these trips, but Mikko at home nursing a sore knee. Pretty for the 3rd time, not yet. Sippola! Very nice blocking by Finland against Pretty on the left side.
That point is a microcosm of match number 1. The Finns frustrating the Americans in transition, and the Americans going to a shot, which then is dug, and then Sippola comes back with a kill.
Both teams played good defense already, with Finland with 17 digs, the United States with 16. Not a good set that time by Kevin Hansen. That looked ugly when it left his hands, let alone when it was hit out of bounds by Anderson.
It didn't go where he wanted it to, and I don't know about that choice. He's behind the position in which Anderson's going to hit that ball, and it's tough.
What Alan Knipe told me when I asked him about Hansen's performance last week after Don Sujo had to leave the match against Egypt when he got hurt. More on that in a moment. Stanley blocks straight down one-on-one. Matti Heittinen with a stuff block. He's going to remember that one.
We know the Finns can bring it from the service line, and that's backing the Americans up and creating opportunities like this. This is just one-on-one. Big move from Heittinen. Look at, he's stretched over the net. That's a tremendous blocking move.
Timed it out perfectly. Just to finish that thought on Alan Knipe and his setter, Kevin Hansen, he said Hansen was thinking way too much about location instead of selection. Beautiful dig that time down the line. Silvala hanging in, but Pretty records the kill.
Beautiful pass from Rich Lamborn. He started that with another bomb coming from Oivonen, but handled well by Rich Lamborn, allowing Reed Pretty to hit in tempo rather than having to swing at a high ball.
Evan Paddock, as has been the custom for head coach Alan Knipe, bringing in the backup opposite. Evan Paddock to come in and serve, this time now in place of Kevin Hansen. Paddock out of UC Santa Barbara, 6'8", 150 pounds. Silvala misses that ball just long. So a rare spiking error from Urpo Silvala, and now it is 23-20.
When these two teams faced off in Finland, Finland made errors down the stretch that cost them both matches. You didn't see that from them last night here at the Sears Center. Not a good sign late in the match to see a hitting error like that.
Paddock once again. And that's going to be a service winner for Evan Paddock. So Alan Knipe pushing the button right on time, putting Kevin Hansen down and bringing in Evan Paddock.
One of the things the Americans did well in the previous match is serving, and they do it again here. Evan Paddock has been great at coming in off the bench cold and ripping aces.
Jesse Mantula comes on to receive serve, and Paddock will dial up another jumper. Set point number 1 for the United States. Heittinen is blocked but out of bounds. And Reed Pretty landed awkwardly and came sprinting away from that 3-man block. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Reed Pretty in a little bit of discomfort right now. Paddock returns to the sideline, a very good run for Paddock. Hansen back on, set point number 2 for the Americans. And there it is. After a perfect pass
from Matt Anderson. So for just the third time so far during the Intercontinental round, the United States has started quickly and been able to close the deal in the opening set, something they could not do last night right here in this same building when they lost to Finland for the first time since 1978. The United States wins the opener 25-21. Back to the Sears Center for set number 2 after this.
Welcome to the world of USA Volleyball. USA Volleyball is grassroots volleyball. USA Volleyball is youth volleyball. USA Volleyball is beach volleyball.
USA Volleyball is the USA men's and women's national team.
USA Volleyball is volleyball for everyone in the United States. To get set with a membership or to make a tax-deductible donation, please visit usavolleyball.org.
Back at the Sears Center just outside Chicago. The United States won the opening set 25-21. Finland on top by 3. The winners of each pool, plus the host Argentina, plus the wild card team, which is the highest ranked second place team. Now, the United States took a huge blow to those hopes last night when they lost to Finland, but mathematically not eliminated. Italy and Serbia will play once again. You see the second place team. Bulgaria will play Brazil again 2 more times. So very feasible that a second place team vying for the wild card will have 3 losses. Oh, nice block by Hansen, but just out of bounds. But that means that the United States must sweep Russia, a tall task.
Unfortunately, with the loss, the United States is in a situation where they're no longer playing for the pool. They are playing for second place. An outside chance at that, and you see the ice bag there on Reed Pretty. Boy, he is just distraught. He was yelling at his teammates, encouraging his teammates during the timeout, trying to do whatever he can from the bench. That's not where he wants to be.
Good dig again by Lamborn. And that ball, was there a touch on the block? Oh, it's ruled that there was by head referee Susana Rodriguez. A micro touch. And Siltala is saying, no, 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 no. That ball never crossed the net. Let's take a look. Wow.
That ball on the second replay looks to me like it hits an arm. It's tough for a ball if it just hit the tape to change directions that dramatically.
And throwing salt in the wound, David Lee off the top of the tape for an ace. And Mauro Borutto. He's having a nice conversation with the umpire so far this evening.
Another ace for David Lee. And we mentioned the stat last night, how many times a guy serves each time he goes back. So David Lee, 1.67 times. Each time he steps back in a rotation to serve, he's almost scoring 3/4 of a point.
Timing not there. That's a nice set, and that ball crushed. Doing a very good job. Ime Tervoportti, the 20-year-old setter, wearing number 2 in blue there for Finland.
This Finnish team has some players that play outside of Finland. Tervoportti, at 20 years old, played his first season in the A1 of Finland and won the championship. Great result for him, and I've seen some flashes of brilliance early on here in set 2.
And that ball served into the top of the tape, so point and possession back to the United States. Best 3 out of 5 set match. First 4 sets to 25 points, must win by 2. 5th set, if necessary, will be played to 15. Kevin Hansen on. Getting out on the road, particularly these long trips overseas, very difficult for Kevin Hansen, who deals with type 1 diabetes. Beautiful block by the United States, now tied at 10.
United States with their 3rd block. Finland already has 4. Losing this battle, but great help from Paul Lottman. Look at the reaction from Lottman and how far inside he is.
Good play by Anderson, calling off Hansen. And back to Clay Stanley, unloading from the right side. Just like that, the Americans back on top 11-10.
The United States had a hard time in transition, generating opportunities that allowed Clay Stanley to get a swing. They need more of this. That ball is in a situation where you give it to Clay and do so, because he's been hitting well throughout World League.
A very upset Finnish head coach Mauro Borutto. There have been a lot of close calls so far, and Finland was right there in the opening set, 22-20, and they end up losing at 25-21. They had an 8-5 lead, and now, thanks to a 6-2 run, the United States leads at 11-10. Now make it 12-10, and the run is 7-2. sorry. Excuse me. It is 11 all. That's what I get for looking at the scoreboard. They had 12 up there for a moment. Big block on the outside. Ball set too tight, and Lottman couldn't get to it.
Hey, ball set too tight, but a bad decision from Paul Lottman. This is where you talk about veteran players and smart hitting. When this ball is set poorly, you see it flat, too tight, you got to tip that ball in or do a shot into the top of the hands that reflects back. And Rich Lamborn right there in the blue jersey could have covered it. And you can generate a better set and opportunity.
And shank pass. After the Americans had gone on a very solid run, now they give up back-to-back points once again and are struggling in reception. And Alan Knipe is talking to his back row specialist and the quarterback there of the reception pattern, veteran Rich Lamborn.
Lamborn's going to pinch over. He's going to give Matt Anderson less court.
Perfect pass, and there's the result. Good play by Lamborn.
Yeah, Lamborn moving to the left, essentially pinching out Matt Anderson, letting him concentrate on hitting, and went right in front of him in that play. The Finns rightly are trying to target Matt Anderson and get the ball to him. It's Rich Lamborn's job to hide Anderson better.
2007 in the World League Finals, Rich Lamborn was voted the outstanding Libero. Lottman off the block for another score.
Lottman didn't make a good decision his last swing on the right, but here he makes a great decision. He takes a little bit off. His ball is too low. He can't get his full arm swing, but he shoots the ball forward and high, gets it high off the block to where no one was in the backcourt.
So Lottman will continue to serve. Out of Lakewood, California, and Long Beach State, 24. Tight set, and that ball ripped off Anderson. Boy, that was a quick swing on the right side that time by number 7 in blue, Matti Heikkinen. When I talked to Mauro Baruto, the head coach for Finland, I said, boy, Urpo Suvila gives you a lot of hope for the future. And he said, also, don't forget Matti Heikkinen. He was really good last night. And if you're just joining us, Finland beat the United States 3-2. Oh, that's such a smart swing by Suvila. Finland leading now, 15-13.
Hey, Coach Alan Knipe watching a younger team on the floor just make some simple errors in game flow. This ball should come up. Rich Lamborn should have this ball identified. You see two guys just going to the ground. Nobody's diving over there. Nobody's even making an effort, even if they don't get there.
Heikkinen again. Boy, that is a really... What a dig. What a dig by Pasi Hirvainen. Stanley again. A touch on the block and give the point to Clay Stanley in the United States. 15-14 Finland.
These young outside hitters, Anderson and Lottman, one of the things I like about them is the way that they read defensively. They read the ball out of the back row really well. And look at Pasi Hirvainen just standing in there. That's putting your helmet on when someone has a free swing at the net.
Is that a great name for the defensive or passing specialist? Pasi. His parents maybe had an idea. That's a pretty good touch that time by Anderson, but Suvila defeating the American blocker one-on-one, and Finland has gotten to the second technical timeout in this second set with a lead. Finland over the United States 16-14. From the Sears Center in Hoffman Estates, just outside downtown Chicago. This is the 2010 World League. The United States leading 1-0. They won the opener 25-21. Paul Sunderland on hand again with two-time Olympian Kevin Barnett. The United States at 4-3 in the preliminary round. Finland at 2-5 in the first match last night. Not a good set. Suvila, smart shot, keeping the ball in play. Suvila demanding the ball and ripping. Good dig by Lottman. And Lottman returning the favor, but missed it just wide.
That's some of the best volleyball we've seen the American side play since Reed Pretty left the floor. I'm encouraged by that. It's too bad they weren't able to finish the rally. Good swings on both sides. Great digs from both sides. Lottman with the unfortunate miss.
Jukka Lehtinen now back to serve after Lottman made that good dig. Hit that ball out of bounds. shot, hit it out of bounds again, and now Finland leads at 18-14.
That's a bad choice by setter Kevin Hansen. Paul Lottman was all the way in the right front to handle this ball and did not have time to get himself back in a good hitting position. That's where the ball needs to go, outside to Matt Anderson.
We talked about it during one of the earlier timeouts. How much does the game change on the American side when Reed Priddy is not available? Lottman. Anderson over the top. Brilliant defense. Joust coming and a net violation. That's going to be called against Urpo Suvala. Mentioned Reed Priddy. One of the great players for the United States and one of the stars of the Olympic Games, certainly along with Clay Stanley and Loy Ball. That towel over his left leg right now, but under there is a big bag of ice. And came up a little bit gimpy and had to leave the match, and things and the tempo and energy certainly has changed for the United States. Finland, something to do with that. Finland is playing better, but certainly the absence of Reed Priddy is huge as Clay Stanley misses that.
If you want to know how good Reed Priddy is, just watch how things change for the Americans when you remove him in the middle of a match.
Suvala misses that jump serve into the top of the tape. That's a break for the United States. Leading 1-0, but trailing here in 1916. The United States currently ranked number 2 in the world. Brazil is number 1, but I think both you and Kevin agree that the best team in the world, the hottest team in the world right now is Russia.
Certainly.
Easily handled the United States. That's a careless jump serve by Matt Anderson. Nothing on it. He still missed it.
What's going through Matt Anderson's mind is, I'm going to try and put this ball in. All he's trying to do is put it in. And when you do that, it never goes in. You have to be aggressive and hit your way.
Wow, in Finland, this was a problem that really plagued Finland in the 2 matches played between these teams in Finland. The United States winning both 3-1. And Finland seemingly had an advantage, had some momentum, and every time would miss a serve. Not necessarily easy. David Lee. Jump floater, shank pass. Quick set, no. Going back to Clay Stanley, who hits the ball out of bounds. So Lottman has missed a couple, and now Clay Stanley, and the Americans trail 21-17.
Well, I fear the Americans are slipping back into the rut they were in match number 1, where they just can't get runs and take advantage of finished mistakes and easy opportunities.
Shank pass, a service winner. And I mentioned right before we came inside the Sears Center that this was now a dangerous and confident Finnish team, and they lead it now 22-17 after that shank by Anderson. A very concerned Alan Knipe here. Both teams serving exceptionally well. The United States and Finland both with 6 errors, but the Americans have 5 aces and Finland's got 4. Couldn't ask for much better. Stanley is blocked, cover, good hustle by the United States, just keeping it alive, but out of bounds. Finland has all but got this second set wrapped up, leading 23-17.
Again, the attitude is slipping on the American side. The energy is gone. They're looking at the floor. There's very little communication between plays, between players.
Short serve and a good one. Suvala ripping and over the end line. Make that 23-18, but still lots of separation. But coming on is Evan Paddock for the United States. And this substitution with Paddock coming in to serve for the setter, Kevin Hansen, certainly paid dividends in the opening set.
Evan Paddock with a bomb of a jump serve, but what this does is leave the Americans in a transition situation where they do not have a setter to set the ball, so the ball will definitely be going high outside. Look for Stanley and Lottman to have to convert points in transition.
Big jump serve. I thought that toss was a little bit too far into the court, even for 6'8" Evan Paddock. So now it is half a dozen set points for Finland. And they will have several opportunities to tie this best 3 out of 5 set match at 1 set apiece. Little confusion for the Americans. Clay Stanley, and that ball is stuffed, and that'll do it. Finland settles things out, and certainly a turning point in the match was the departure of one Reed Priddy. Number 8, the captain for the United States, left the match, and after that, Finland took full advantage.
Finland is making plays. Pressure from the service line and digging. There, a little bit of blocking. They are doing a great job. The United States has some work to do in set 3.
Finland comes right back, takes the second set 25-18, and we are tied here at the Sears Center, 1 set apiece. After 3 sets, the United States leads this best 3 out of 5 set match 25-19. Due to time constraints, we had to skip that 3rd set. So, Kevin Barnett, let's take it through the highlights. And Mauro Baruto, who's been very active along the sideline, had to be happy that his Finnish team won the second set 25-18. But then what was the key for the United States to kind of smooth things out?
Early on in set 3, it was a battle, back and forth, both teams generating great service pressure. What the Americans did was they got a few transition kills, allowed them a little bit of breathing room, then a couple of Finnish mistakes, and that created the United States 5-point lead, and they just cruised from there to the end. Clay Stanley was a big part of steadying the side out for the American side. But then the block came alive with huge stuffs like that. And Lottman and Anderson, the 2 young outside hitters in during that set, did a nice job in transition.
And Finland didn't go quietly. They trailed only 16-13, but then the United States went on a nice run to close it out once again. 25-19.
There you see in the stats, 16 kills to 10. That's the number that sticks out for me. That tells me in transition they're killing balls, and Matt Anderson's been a big part of that. 10 kills, 2 aces. Good performance from a young player gaining experience.
And right on cue, unfortunately. Not clean contact, flailed that one just out of bounds. Perfect execution. And that's just an unforced error on the part of Matt Anderson. 23 years of age, made his international debut last year in the World League, but unfortunately after the opening weekend came down with a very serious virus. And you can see he's not exactly carrying any extra weight, but with that virus lost a lot of weight and never was able to get back to the U.S. team.
You mentioned he's a slightly built guy. In my opinion, he needs to put on 10 to 15 pounds of muscle in the next couple seasons. And like Clay Stanley around about 2006, you need to stick Anderson on the floor and leave him. Let him play. If he gets discouraged, bring him off or put him back on. Manage him, but give him repetitions and experience now. So by the time you arrive in 2012, he is the man at the outside.
Beautiful dig once again by Finland, and a good combination and some real emotion from the usually slightly reserved Kevin Hansen on that connection.
I love these young middles. I like Russell Holmes. I like Max Holt, who we saw a little bit of in the previous match. To back up David Lee and Ryan Millar, you have 4 middles you legitimately can play all the time.
Well, that was a nice set to the outside, but Clay Stanley all over Ukko Suvula that time. And I know you hate that serve from Matt Anderson.
I don't like the half-speed serve. Here it works, but I don't like it long-term. I don't think it's going to work against the better teams. That one I like.
And that ball sneaking down inside the block that time by Matti Heikkinen.
Just to touch on the middles a little bit more, Russell Holmes and Max Holt, they are young guys. I love the way they side out. Their blocking will come along as they gain more experience, but I like what they're doing against Finland. They're reading pretty well. That will be the question, how quickly they can become effective blockers.
Tight pass for Tervaportti, able to save that. And Suvula rips that ball off the block.
A lot of people might want to throw there, and we've killed the referees a little bit earlier saying that was a chuck. That would normally be a chuck, but at least they're being consistent now, letting it go. And I prefer, as a player, let him play. And as a fan, let him play a little bit. It's okay if it's a mishandled ball. Unless it's horrible, let the play go.
Suvula again against 3 blockers. Lamborn all over that roll shot. Wasn't going to get fooled twice. Lamborn again, very active at the defensive end, and Anderson able to put that ball away.
You mentioned Rich Lamborn. He picked up that roll shot in the middle of that rally. That was the one that went down. against the Americans earlier and so demoralizing, but Rich Lamborn, good communicator in the back row, great defensive player, has become a tremendous passer and one of the top liberos in the world.
Has 15 digs so far on the evening. We're in the very early stages of set number 4. Holmes. Oh, David Lee there, but a good strong swing by Jukka Leittonen.
Like the American middles, when the ball is passed perfectly, I think Finland should go to Leittonen. He's been so effective in the middle. It's just a question of if they can pass well enough, Finland, if they can stave off the American serves to get the ball in there.
Finland leading here 5-3. United States, however, on top of the match 2-1. David Lee hitting that ball at a very high point and unloading.
I love it. David Lee now 5 of 10. He's only hit 1 ball out of bounds. This unfortunate thing for him is he only has 10 attempts. Again, only 10 attempts. He's averaging less than 10 attempts per match through this World League. That's not enough for him.
That ball served out of bounds. Just to add to that, if the United States is passing reasonably well, I think he should get 4 to 6 sets per set.
Sure. He should be in the 16 range, which he was in 5, even 16 or 20. I don't want to see that ball fed in there to David Lee.
Silvula rocketing that jump serve. Hansen with a good save. And that ball will be out of play. Silvula again down the line and very impressed. Finland has got some talent, but if you look at Erme Tervoportti, 20-year-old setter, and Pasi Hirvarinen, their 22-year-old libero, and 22-year-old Urpo Silvula, and add that to the 4 starters who aren't here. Maybe a small country with a small population, and volleyball is not the most popular game. We know ice hockey is, but this is a good team.
It is a talented team, and Mauro Baruto has done a terrific job of developing these players now in his 6th year. Certainly these are his guys. He has brought them along from the youth nationals, and he has done a great job, not only with the individuals, but also the system. Boy, you watch them play, it looks like an Italian team.
And they have shocked some of the top teams in the world, more than just last night when they beat the United States. Beat Brazil last year, their only loss in the World League. They went on to win their 8th title at the finals last year in Belgrade, Serbia. Teams will head to the sideline as we've come to the first technical timeout. Just when you think the United States has gained an edge on Finland, back come the Finns. They lead at 8-5, 4th set. Coming out of the first technical timeout of the 4th set, Finland has regrouped after getting handled quite easily by the United States in set number 3, 25-19. Finland now leading 8-5. Paul Sunderland with 2-time Olympian Kevin Barnett. Notice during that timeout, Matt Anderson, if the United States needs to have any more injuries, mind you, spending some time with the USA team doctor. Don't want to speculate about what the situation was, but he was obviously having a problem, and the United States already has lost their captain, Reed Pretty, to a leg injury. One of their top setters in Don Sujo is back in Anaheim. Couldn't make the trip also because of a leg injury. Boy, that was a tough serve by David Lee. Almost down into the court. Varnen keeping the ball alive again for Finland, but the United States has got to take advantage. And that ball's down. Quite sure what Finland is complaining about here. I thought that ball was to the floor. Your thought?
I think that ball hit the floor. But kudos to Finland for stretching that rally out again and making the Americans come back. Again, not a perfect set. Boy, that ball looks pretty close, but the referee is right there. See the referee right on top of it.
Don't let that fool you. I thought the ball was down.
He does have glasses on.
I thought the ball was down. And just been handed a note that Matt Anderson turned an ankle during one of those long rallies and was getting some attention to that. Clay Stanley, a nice change of pace and change of direction down the line.
Good smart shot using that outside hand. Paul, if the Americans are going to take this set and take the win, they are going to have to play well. Finland has proven they are not a team that rolls over.
after a loss or if they go down 2-1. But they definitely will come back and play. And we've seen the Americans do that too. I think that's why we've had such a battle. Neither one of these teams emotionally disintegrates after a bad set loss.
David Lee, after that missed jump float serve, will head to the sideline and be replaced by Rich Lamborn, the libero. Koivunen. Silvala has that ball stuffed by Holmes. And Anderson on the outside with some help from Kevin Hansen. Tied at 9.
Holmes with his third stuff block. Another good move. Nice read. Good setup. And Kevin Hansen over there to help. Americans working very hard to get into a three-man block whenever possible.
Overpass. What a block that time by Terrible Porky.
Setters are great at this skill, identifying the ball and then looking at the hitter. And Anderson just needs to change the direction of that ball. He's trying to go straight down for the power and the glory. He needs to hit that ball around.
Possible two-point switch. And then off the left side, just disintegrating that finished block. There's the slightest little crack. It will be exposed.
Layton in number 18, just looking up and wondering how did that ball get through.
Very easy serve from Anderson and a predictable result.
Anderson has to get used to hitting the ball hard, and especially not just lobbing the ball in there. Pasi Harvonen in 19. Harvonen has shown time and again that he is an excellent passer.
Heitinen off the top of the tape. Good reaction by Lamborn and a beautiful play by Holmes staying with it. And Hansen delivering out of the setting position.
Russell Holmes, 8 of 10. Get him 10 more attempts.
Well, the two middle blockers combined are 13 of 18. Just unloading. Terrible Porty with another good set. Isolating Silvala on the right side.
I've said that blocking is the toughest skill to master internationally. And that time, Paul Lottman running right past Silvala, running right past the location of the set, and just giving Silvala the absolute seam straight down hit.
Jukka Layton, the captain for Finland. And David Lee nicely over the top. It looks like Kevin Hansen going middle. We're not sitting that far from the court. Maybe they finally, or he finally got the message, but he's following the game plan.
Yeah, well, that I can influence the game that much.
Tied at 12, fourth set. The United States leading 2-1. And Clay Stanley misses that.
I knew as soon as that ball was tossed, that was not a good toss for Clay Stanley. Way too far in front of himself. He's not a guy who stretches out and jumps really far forward. He's a guy who needs to go up to the ball a little bit more.
And a lot of people may be wondering, you know, you see it in tennis all the time. You throw a bad toss, you can toss it again. But this, you got to hit it.
Right, that rule taken out about 12 years ago from the international game.
Oh, good block that time by Hansen. Look at Hansen, as demonstrative as I've ever seen him.
He knows his team needs it. With Reed pretty gone, it's going to fall to someone else, and there's Hansen. Get it fired up. Like that emotion.
The former Stanford Cardinal, just recently married, had a very successful professional season over in Russia. Oh, that's nicely done. Kill out of the middle that time by Matti Oivoinen. 24 years of age, 6'6" middle blocker, plays for Piacenza in the Italian league.
That's just a nice play. Good serve, nice pass by Finland, and an excellent side out.
Siltala. And Clay Stanley unloading down the line.
Stanley's not having his best night numbers-wise, but he's coming through when the Americans need him. He's got 13 kills on 30 swings. He's been blocked 5 times. He's hit 2 balls out. That puts his efficiency at 200. And you wonder, is that not a good performance from your opposite hitter? It's not a great performance. But the question is, when are those errors coming? When are his points coming? His points are coming down the stretch of sets when the Americans need them.
Voinen and Tervoportti return the favor. So both teams utilizing the middle attack to great efficiency now. We're seeing it more often.
Voinen with 5 attempts and Lehtinen with 7, the 2 Finnish middles, number 15 and number 18.
Stanley, was it off the block and out of bounds? Yes, it was. And everybody complaining except the blocker that was involved in the play.
I think they've got something here. That ball to me looked like it was in the tape and down. Mauro Brutto, I think, has just reached his point of exasperation with the referees. I think that ball is directly in the tape.
Well, tied at 15. Nice save by Tervoportti. And the coverage not there in the United States. We'll get to the second technical timeout with the slightest of leads, 16-15 over Finland in the 4th set. The Americans leading 2-1. 4th set coming out of the second technical timeout. The United States leading by 1. Now Hansen once again for the Americans. Tattoo in the sideline. Very little room to get that by, but he certainly did.
A nice swing, but also a nice set from Tervoportti, number 2. Perfect. All the way out to the antenna, hit straight down the line. That is a perfect delivery.
And Tervoportti comes out of that play and misses that jump serve. The Americans back on top 17-16.
It's an unfortunate substitution coming for the Americans. You see Matt Anderson leaving for Evan Paddock. Evan Paddock's going to come in and serve. This is not who you want to sub out. You don't want your big jumping, hard-hitting outside hitter being subbed out because he's not serving very well.
Because then you lose him for a transition out of the pipe zone, out of the middle, right?
Well, not even that. Just the message that it sends. You're not serving very well. This is a guy who should be serving very well. He has the physical tools. You want to be putting Evan Paddock in for somebody like Kevin Hansen or a jump float. Instead, he comes in for another jump server. That's not good.
Heitinen coming through with a kill off the right side once again, and that substitution unwound. Evan Paddock will head back to the sideline. Lottman high off the hands. Good track by Heitinen that time. Silvela, smart shot into the block and out of bounds. Brilliant play by Finland.
Wow, a lot of confusion on that second contact on the Finnish side. You see Pasi Haivarnen, number 19, the libero, and number 2, Emi Tervoportti coming together and just throwing the ball up, but it came out perfectly for another smart decision from Silvela.
Finland now leading by 1. Tough serve. Shot. Finland playing brilliant defense.
Go to the middle.
Where do you go with this one? Quick set, no. On the pipe combination, killed by Anderson.
I like anything in the middle of the court on that perfect transition opportunity. Finland made 3 terrific defensive plays. But kudos to the Americans here in transition. Russell Holmes has established himself as a threat, and that spreads the block out and leaves the pipe open. With that transition hitting a critical thing for the Americans. That was about to be a little run by the Finns here at the end of the set. Instead, we find ourselves tied again.
Holmes now serving for the United States. Silvela, nice high flat shot. Again on the outside, good dig by Hansen. And Stanley, not a good approach. Somehow keeping that ball alive. Still no approach. Haivarnen sprawled for the dig. Where to go now? Anderson is stuffed.
Rally of the match. Boy, fun volleyball for both sides. Lots of chances for Clay Stanley. This is one of those rallies you have to emotionally just move on from. It's only 1 point. A 1 point lead for the Finns. Americans need a side out here.
Could we be going 5 again? United States leading 2-1. Leitonen back to serve. David Lee rocketing that ball through the block.
David Lee with the kill, but another nice pass from Paul Lottman. A young guy, hasn't seen a tremendous amount of action, but he's a good passer. You see perfect position. He's moved his feet. He's underneath that ball. Isn't struggling to get there. He's identified it early.
Time for Clay Stanley. 19 all. A chance for the United States to go on and win this match. If he goes on a little serving run right here, that could do it. And there's point number 1. Clay Stanley right on cue.
I love that sound in a gym. When you hit a serve or hit a ball at the net and you hear everyone go, oh, that is a great sound.
I like the sound of the match is on the line. Clay Stanley going back to serve.
If you're an American, that's what you want to hear.
Mauro Barutto's got to somehow find an answer right now for Clay Stanley. After Stanley just recorded that service winner.
The answer they're hoping for is a miss. That's what they're hoping for.
Conservative swing from Stanley, and Finland with a predictable result. Antti Siltala records yet another kill. Siltala with 11 kills on 26 swings.
I don't know about that strategy. I could go either way on that. Coming out of a timeout, just put the ball in, give your block, which has been doing a good job, an opportunity to stuff another one.
Sivola, what a rocket from Sivola. Good set to Lottman outside. Sivola again, a touch in the deep cross-court corner. The Americans acknowledge that. And Sivola with a kill. And now Finland back on top, 21-20. Finland continues to serve, now leading 21-20. Clay Stanley off the block, not yet. Lamborn with a cover, quickly to Lottman. And he misses that out of bounds. Was there a touch? No touch. The American bench is just going crazy.
They've corrected themselves. The referee looking down at the linesman. Clearly a touch. Clearly a touch. Now, Finland's going to spend some more time yelling. Mauro Barutto's going to spend some more time yelling at the FIVB official who is here. That ball through the hands.
Yeah, no question about that. All that matters is they got it right, and the linesman did a good job, waved his flag, eventually got the attention of the head referee, and we're tied at 21.
Mauro Barutto's going to yell at the FIVB about the officiating, but I think when he reviews the tape, yes, there were 1 or 2 bad calls, but he's thinking there's 5 or 6. Really, I think there's only been 1 or 2 that are questionable.
He is entertaining, though. I like having him around.
He's demonstrative.
And so do the Finns. He's done a good job. Siltala. Ball is still alive. Not any longer, and Max Holt came on during that whole business with the touch, no touch. Missed it. Max Holt had come on. You can't miss him now after that stuff block.
Young Max Holt is a big dude at the net, 6'9", and stuffing the heck out of that. There's some emotion.
Max Holt, a teammate of Matt Anderson's at Penn State University. And Lottman will continue to serve. 22-21. The Americans lead. Siltala, what a match. What a series of matches he's had. 22 kills on 43 swings. And last night he had a total of 42 points. No, make that 33, excuse me. 28 kills on 49 swings.
I think he'll be spending more time at opposite. I'm head coach Mauro Barutto. I've found a guy that I can rely on a bit for now.
Pretty good pass by Anderson. Stanley again unloading down the line. The Americans now 2 points away.
One good swing deserves another. How about this bomb? Woo! From 12 feet over the top of the block. It doesn't matter what you do if Clay Stanley gets up like that.
Siltala blocked straight down. Anderson and Holmes. Match point number 1.
Great experience for young players in this match. Anderson and Holmes combined for a perfect technical block.
Mauro Baruto has done such a great job with Finland, running out of time and running out of options. Where does this set go? Left side, Heitinen! Just a crush cross court. 1 match point saved.
We've seen some great hitting tonight from Heitinen, from Stanley, from Anderson, from the middles and Holmes and Lee. This has been some wonderful volleyball. After a subpar performance by the Americans in match number 1, they have come back and been great tonight.
Matti Oivonen, match point number 2, pretty good server. Rockets that. Where does Kevin Hansen go? Anderson for the win. Zubala for the tie. No! Stuffed by the United States.
Big match for the Americans. Big match. A lot of young players on the court. They win a tight, well-played match. A lot of young guys played very well, and I think it's a confidence builder and a huge positive for the Americans.
The United States keeps their hopes alive.